Well, guys, it's been 4 months here since we started aging experiment here with Buffalo Trace in our new barrel here that we got. It's end of year 2. Let's see if it turned out to be a success and see what this barrel has in store for us. Welcome back to Capitol Bourbon, everyone. My name is Steven. On today's very special video, we're finally wrapping up the series here with our aging experiment of Buffalo Trace and our own Buffalo Trace barrel here and seeing how that turns out once and for all. When we first started this journey here of aging our own Buffalo Trace and our own Buffalo Trace barrel here, we ended up barreling 6 bottles of Buffalo Trace in August 26 of 2024, which ends up being around 4 months since this video is coming out here and since we will actually wrap up our aging experiment here. And since then, every week on every Monday, I have religiously, for the most part, been trying out a sample of our whiskey that's been aging here and seeing just how it ages and matures and how it transforms over time, week after week after week. However, to be really honest with you guys, as you will see here in this video, week after tasting them, I was pretty disappointed in our results. The whiskey in here did actually turn out to be transformed a lot. It had a lot more complexity, a lot more depth, a lot more sweetness, a lot more oaky and charness notes. However, there was a chemically or a sharpie note on it as well that I just couldn't get over. And I was hoping that would dissipate with time in this barrel here. And to be honest, as you'll see, I did stop tasting the whiskey after week 8 just because nothing was really changing after that point. And they do say that the whiskey in this small barrel here does age 8 to 10 times faster. So after 8 weeks, that's around 2 years of aging it if you were to consider just how rapidly it can age in this barrel at the high end of that scale. And so yeah, it wasn't really changing that much differently. So I decided to stop tasting week after week just because frankly, I had some better things to do with my valuable time on a Monday on a weekday there. So I stopped after week 8, which was in mid-October around that time. And here we are, guys, week number 1 of our Buffalo Trace experiment. We got the normal control Buffalo Trace here on the left, nothing done to it, nothing aged about it. And on the right here, we got our experiment Buffalo Trace. And first thing I want to do here actually is compare the color on these two. So let's see if aging the Buffalo Trace for 1 week changed the color at all. On my right here is the aged one, and on the left is a non-aged. There's definitely more particulates in the right glass here, probably just from the charred oak, whatever's floating around in that barrel made its way into the whiskey and into the glass here. That's all right, you can drink that, and if you really wanted to, you can just filter that out. I'm not gonna worry about that for today. On the right, it might be a shade darker. It might just be due to actually there just being more whiskey in the glass here, or again, the more particulates and floating char around here. It might be a shade just darker here on the right. It's been 1 week, so let's finally dig into these guys and give them a taste. I'll start with the control first. Yeah, you're just getting your typical Buffalo Trace there. Light, sweet, red fruit. Not too much else really. You get oakiness there too, some char, but really just light, sweet red fruit. And we'll go to the aged nose now. There's something different here. There's some sort of like funk, some sort of oakiness and more charness on this. Yeah, it smells more deeper, more intense red fruit. Just after 1 week, that's pretty insane. Just after 1 week, you're getting a way different nose really. You can't really even tell that they're the same bourbons. You can tell that this is definitely Buffalo Trace with that fruity richness and sweetness. It smells more complex and more char, almost like a Cabernet or sherry finished barrel. And that's fantastic. That's your typical Buffalo Trace there. Light, sweet. I talked about the finish on Buffalo Trace not being as long or strong as I wanted it to be in my aging video, which is completely true here. By the mid palate, it's basically in and out. You don't really taste that much of it, but it is sweet, red fruit. It's good bourbon. All right, now let's dig into the palate here of the 1 week aged Buffalo Trace here. That is much stronger flavor. Kind of shocking really how much flavor that picked up in just 1 week of sitting in that oak barrel. The flavor there, I wasn't kind of prepared for it. It's definitely much stronger. I'm getting definitely more charcoal, a little bit more oak, but kind of charcoal finish. Like you might expect out of a toasted barrel. Like the Penelope Toasted, I think tastes extremely similar to this. Let's give it another shot. Yeah, you're getting more of that charred flavor. It's less sweet. It's less sweet than the just Buffalo Trace that you get straight up. I wonder if it's due to those particles floating around it that we got in here. If that's kind of, you're tasting some more of that wood or some more of that charness that they got. Maybe I should be filtering this. I'm not sure. Quite a few particles in there. Nothing big, small ones, but I wonder if that's changing the flavor. Honestly, it tastes kind of more ethanol too. There's more flavors. It's more intense on this one, but honestly, I'm still preferring the sweetness and just the fruitiness that you're getting off of the original controlled Buffalo Trace here. Kind of shocking it changed that much in just 1 week. Definitely don't think it's at its optimal point yet because yeah, I think I would prefer the control as of right now. This kind of tastes more of a pot still kind of bourbon, which I'm not really a big fan of. This one, week number one, I'm gonna give it to the control here. Week number three. On our left here, we have our aged Buffalo Trace, and on our right here, we have our control Buffalo Trace. Let's quickly compare the colors. And honestly, they look extremely similar, way more similar in color than most weeks. Maybe the juice inside the barrels finally mixing together and being more homogeneous and getting a nice color here. Really, they're very similar. There's still a lot more floaters in the barrel on the left, which I completely expect since it's unchilled, unfiltered. But yeah, let's get into the taste here. We'll start with the control once more. Yep, great old Buffalo Trace once again. Fruit, sweet, short finish there, but pretty good for the price point. Now let's try the aged one here. And that's better than the previous weeks. Definitely less tannic, definitely less harsh, well more rounded now, not getting a super char. Let's try it one more time here though. Yeah, this one's starting to become good. Getting more of that longer finish as well that I usually like. Definitely more oakiness though. It's good, yeah. Getting a little bit of chemical taste still like we did on previous weeks. I'm hoping in future weeks that eventually dies down and kind of gets worked out this way. It's definitely dying down, but yeah, still getting a little bit of chemical taste there. Kind of again, that rubber band kind of fake chemical taste. Kind of like when you open a fresh package of something that's made out of cheap plastic, you're kind of getting that little taste there. But yeah, definitely not terrible. Something I would not reach to. And for this week, week three, I would still pick the Buffalo Control over the aged experiment here, just because you are getting that funky note, which doesn't really sit too well with me. And if I was at a bar, I would kind of be disappointed with this one. So I'm picking the Control for this week. We'll be back for more. Week number four, we have our controlled Buffalo Trace on the left and our aged Buffalo Trace on the right. Let's go ahead and compare the color of the two. And the color of them, if you can see that, are very similar. The one on the right, the experiment one, how it's been in the barrel, is a little one shade darker, one or two shades darker, I would say, but they're both very similar in color. The aged Buffalo Trace here, it's like an extremely charred barrel that you're aging some whiskey in. You're getting a lot of that charness, a lot of that toastedness. Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a Sharpie, still a marker smell. A little less than other weeks as well, but yeah, still not the best smell at all. A little bit more oakiness there too as well. But if I was to smell this one at a bar, I would say, that bottle's been turned. It's definitely oxidized and it's not good to drink. But, let's try it anyway. Let's try our experiment here on the right. Surprisingly palatable. It's the finish. There's something with that finish. On that finish, you're getting kind of that chemically Sharpie note. I can feel it really deep down my stomach here. It's not settling too well. The beginning is actually quite nice. You are losing some of that sweetness, but you're definitely getting a lot more oakiness, a lot more char to with that. I enjoy this one on the beginning. However, the mid and end palate though is kind of way too chemically for me. Yeah, same thing there. Beginning middles is not too bad, but the end there, I'm kind of getting goosebumps even on my arms here just drinking that. It's yeah, not very flavorful, not very palatable really. I guess all we can do is keep letting it age in the barrel that we got there on the top shelf and see what happens to it. I hope it's just not going rancid or oxidized. See you guys in week five. Week number five, and let's get right back at it. On the left here, we got our Buffalo Trace Control, and on our right, we got our Barrel Age Experiment. Let's compare the colors. The Buffalo Trace Experiment is noticeably one or two shades darker there. Let's just go right into it and give it a shot. On the nose, you are still getting a hint of that chemical Sharpie smell in this glass. Let's continue and hope that this eventually goes away and that our Buffalo Trace Experiment wasn't just a complete waste of time and money. Let's give it a shot. Immediately, way hotter, immediately chemical again, kind of that Sharpie, kind of rubbing alcohol, chemically taste again in the back of the throat. It's less strong than it was in previous weeks. But yeah, at this point, week five, still a little disappointed that's still there in that glass. Nothing we can do but let it keep aging in the barrel, and hopefully that goes away, and hopefully we get something valuable and useful and good out of this. So, see you guys week six. Here we go, week number 6. Today, I just have the aged Buffalo Trace here in our barrel. I don't have the normal Buffalo Trace that we usually use for control, just because I've had too much of that. I know what Buffalo Trace tastes like these days. So let's just give the Buffalo Trace aging in our own barrel a shot here and see how it is. On the nose, yeah, not much different at all, really. I'm actually getting more Sharpie chemical smell this time. Not looking too good on week number 6. A little bit of cherry there too at the end, kind of oak cherry there. Yeah, it's really deep and kind of like a fake cherry smell, not really a natural maraschino smell. Kind of chemical, medicinal cherry smell. All right, well, let's give it a shot. That's not that bad this time. Actually, week 6, I'm not getting a bunch of chemicals on that one. The finish there is kind of rough still. It just tastes really kind of higher proof now. Less chemical, at least there on the palate. I could drink this one really if this was offered to me. I wouldn't turn this one down necessarily. Definitely wouldn't be my favorite, but yeah, wouldn't be turning this one down. This one kind of reminds me of like the Willet Pot Still or even like the Willet 4-Year Rye. Kind of more along those lines, something super herbal and something, medicinal. Week 6 is not that bad. For a moment there, I did lose hope in week 4 and 5, but this one's starting to change my mind a little bit. I guess we'll just have to wait until week 7 to find out what kind of flavor profile we're trying to. Week number 6, we got our control Buffalo Trace here on the left and our experiment here on the right. Let's compare the color here real quick. Yep, and still again, the shade of our experiment whiskey here is a little bit darker. Doesn't look like it's changed in darkness since previous weeks, but yeah, still definitely one shade darker than our control. Experiment smell, a little bit chemically this time around, not as much as other times. I'm getting a lot more of that kind of oaky sweetness out of this one this time. So maybe if age, the barrel is getting a little bit better. Let's try our experiment here. A bit more complex, more palatable this time, not as chemically and harsh as other times. On the beginning there, you are getting a lot more complexity, a lot of cherry, a lot of oak. On the end now, I'm getting like an extra char note that's kind of tannic and pretty bitter actually. So yeah, still a little bit unpleasant, but actually the taste on the experiment is actually getting a little bit better as time goes on. Week 7, not looking too bad here, but let's keep it going. Let's punch through this some other weeks. Hopefully it gets even better and we get rid of some of that funky taste there at the end. Week number 8, it's been 2 months since we started this experiment, and now we're trying it on week 8 here. I think we've tried enough of the Buffalo Trace standard control, so we just have a glass here of our experiment barrel, and let's go ahead and give it a shot at the 2-month mark. First on the nose. Originally, again, right away on the nose, a bunch of chemicals, a bunch of Sharpie smell, not the best. I thought it was getting better as time goes on, but this 2-month mark here isn't proving that it's changed at all, really. Color, I think, is a little bit darker. I have been rotating the barrel also every week about a quarter of a turn, just so it can get some more air and also touch the top of the wood, so it's actually, using the whole barrel to actually age, instead of just, whatever the water line is or the whiskey line is in that barrel. It smells okay, still getting chemicals there, a little bit oak, char, heavy char really, a lot of char. But let's just go ahead and try it on the palate. On the palate, actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, actually pretty decent. This sip right here reminded me a lot of Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. You get a lot of super sweetness just from that new second barrel of the oak. Actually, it wasn't really bad, honestly. And actually, there's just a lot of fruit sweet bomb coming out of this one now. Second sip, it's very drinkable. At the 2-month mark, the nose still wasn't that good, but the palate is actually turning now. Definitely got a lot of fruit, a lot of oak, and a lot of sweetness. Not bad at all. Let's continue, it just goes up from here. However, after 4 months here, let's go ahead and give this whiskey here one more try, see if it's transformed or changed into anything actually palatable, and if it lost that chemical or Sharpie taste to it, and actually something enjoyable now, which we'll finally be able to judge now after 4 months and at the end of 2024, if our aging experiment here in this bottle was a success or if it was just a complete failure, and we ended up wasting a bunch of Buffalo Trace and a bunch of whiskey here, and a bunch of time, to be honest. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and unplug the bunghole here so we can pour up our sample. We'll tight that time. Let's go ahead and turn this. And nothing's coming out. There's definitely whiskey in there. Yeah, definitely whiskey in there. Not sure why nothing's coming out. Let's go ahead. Oh, there we go. Just gotta give it a little shake. All right, we got our sample here poured up. And actually the color on this one, from what I remember about, 4 weeks ago, that is a little bit darker than last time. So hopefully that's a good sign. Let's give it on the nose. A little chemically still. Definitely a lot more charred than before. Still sweet, still that Buffalo Trace sweetness, that cherry brown sugar sweetness on this one. Yeah, definitely elevated a bit there in the nose and complexity after 4 months here. It does not smell too bad, really. It smells like kind of like a pot still whiskey, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Kind of has that gasoline kind of flavor to it, but not that bad here in the nose. Let's go ahead and see how it is on the palate. It's a lot sweeter, a lot more cherry, a lot more brown sugar, a lot less chemically too. That chemically strong taste has really gone away a lot. At the end there, very last flavor there on the palate, you do get a little bit of chemically note on this one, just a super char note, I would say. But that, from what I remember week 8, that was much, much better actually. So 4 months in, the whiskey in this actually turned something good. And I think for the first time, I'm willingly going for a second sip here. Usually I would take a second, third, fourth sip just for the videos here. But let's go ahead for one more sip. That wasn't bad at all. Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's pretty sweet. That's not going to win any awards, but that's pretty good. I would say that does remind me of a Buffalo Trace that's been double oaked. It's a lot more sweeter now. That's actually surprised me how sweet it is and how pleasant it is now. I can actually drink this one. The chemical flavor there on that second sip was completely gone. That's actually quite good. I don't know if it's my palate today, but That's actually really enjoyable. Okay, so after 4 months, yes, it's gone even better, I would say, than the previous week. So if you're trying this at home, let it go for longer. The instruction card, I believe, recommends between 2 to 3 months. However, for me, I think 4 months, at least right now, this is the sweet spot. And actually, it's starting to become really good and really palatable and enjoyable, in fact. I'm really happy about that because of the Christmas season in full swing. I was planning to give my dad and my uncles a little present of the experiment that we were doing here, bottling up some of that and giving it to them as a little Christmas gift and a little surprise. We can all try it together and kind of enjoy it. So, with this, I was fully expecting going into this video and saying this was a complete failure and complete waste and to not try it. I don't recommend doing it. And I was going to say, we would have to pour out all this whiskey, probably pour a bunch of honey in here, then pour it back in and see if the honey could save it and make it a little bit sweeter, more palatable. But, with how it is right now, I think it's really enjoyable and I think it's pretty good to go as is. But, after tasting this, my plans have changed here a little bit. I'm gonna wait another week or two until Christmas Day happens. Then I'm gonna end up bottling the whiskey that's in here and giving it away to my dad, my uncles, and my family over there at Christmas parties I have coming up. And then we'll kind of reevaluate, I guess, what I want to do with this. Maybe I'll end up pouring in another type of whiskey into this, give another tasting or aging experiment. Maybe we'll go for another year this time instead of the 4 months here, about 4.5 months when I end up bottling all of it. Or maybe I still will pour honey in this barrel and pour the Buffalo Trace back in, at least what I have left over, maybe some additional new Buffalo Trace, and see how that ages it further and how that has an effect on the whiskey that we're getting out of this. So definitely not a complete failure after all. Wow, I'm really surprised about that. But please let me know down below in the comment section what you want to see happen with this barrel. I'm willing to do anything with it. If you want me to pour, Eagle Rare in this, I could probably find enough Eagle Rare to pour in it. Or if you want to make it a honey cask, I could definitely find honey, pour it in here, some good honey, put the Buffalo Trace or a different whiskey in this, let it age and let it sit for maybe a year, 5-6 months, I'm not sure this time, and see how that ends up going out. So yeah, just let me know down below what you want to see happen in this barrel. I'm willing to do anything, willing to try anything. Just let me know and we'll see which ones I like the best and end up choosing which one to do and do that one. So without further ado, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe down below. It helps this channel grow significantly. It helps me continue to make content for you guys. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. I'll see you next one, guys. Enjoy your whiskey and cheers.